Hello and welcome to the mobility series. Today's routine, we're going to focus on the lower leg and the feet. Okay, so what we need today is a foam roller or a tennis ball. So let's get straight into it. So we're going to start off in our first sitting posture. So laying the fronts of the feet onto the mat and sitting back onto the heels. So you may need to put a pillow in between the backs of the legs here, just to reduce a little bit of that intensity, and we're just going to sit here. So this is fantastic for getting the feet into this plantar flexion. It's a position our feet are very rarely in. So if you're sitting here and this is nice and comfortable and you want to take it a step further, we're just going to sit back and raise the knees up off the mat. So if you've got issues with the knees and this is painful, then return back to the mat, take it nice and easy, and just work on that first modification. But if we can come back here and this feels like a good stretch through the front of the feet and into the shins, I just want you to lean back and we're just going to gently roll through the feet. So none of this should be painful. If it feels at all dodgy, doesn't quite feel right, then ease back. We're just going to hang out here and just work through all those joints in the feet. So the feet get very little attention in any routine, and they're pretty important. So it's our only point of contact when we're running, when we're walking, hiking, and it's our feet that give us proprioception, the feedback to our brain when it comes to balance and coordination. So how our feet function is really important. All right, we're going to lower down the knees and just take a breather. So again, just to reiterate, putting a pillow in between the backs of the legs, just to take a little bit of that intensity off, and just sitting back. So this is the first modification. We're going to go back into that second modification if you're happy to do so. Lean back, lifting the knees up off the mat, and working through the fronts of the feet. So for some people this is going to be incredibly difficult, very tight. So just work to that point where it feels like a good stretch, but we're not overdoing it. So when we look at the joints through the body and we've got restriction in one joint, then it often puts excessive force through the joint above or below that restriction. So these sessions are all about just working through the body and finding where your tension spots are. You might be sitting here going, this is easy, and you don't need to spend much time on it, and that's absolutely fine. So it's about finding the postures, the moves that really feel good for your body. So just spend a couple more moments here, just rolling through the feet. If you're in the first modification, you need to take a breather, just come out nice and slowly, give the feet a bit of a twirl, and then rejoin us. Okay, and then coming back down, knees down. We're just going to stay here for a couple of moments. So if you're having any issues with your shins, your knees, and your front of your thighs, and you're sitting here and this is really tight through the front of the feet, then this is definitely a good one to return to during the day, add into your daily routine. Okay, we're going to now bring the feet up and tuck the toes under, bring the knees together, and we're going to sit back onto our heels. And again, you can put the pillow in between the backs of the legs there just to take a bit of the intensity off. We're going to sit back onto our heels. So it's really good for the plantar fascia on the soles of the feet. If you're having issues with the soles of your feet, your calves, your hamstrings, and you're sitting here and this is really tight, then again, a really good opportunity to highlight an area that will be beneficial to work on. For some people, this is going to be incredibly sore through the feet, so just take the intensity off, come back up again, okay, reposition the toes, and then sitting back. So you can come in and out of these postures, you can press pause, recheck them. So not only are we working the soles of the feet here, we're getting the knees into these full flexion. So it's great for knee joint health. And again, a lot of these sit-in postures are fantastic in the evening when you get back from work. If you're sitting watching TV, just jump down on the ground and hang out here for a few moments. If you do a little bit each day, then over time, we end up reducing that tension. Okay, and just coming forward and just give those feet a little bit of a twirl. And we're going to do just one more set of that. So tuck the toes in underneath, bring the knees together, and then coming up and sitting back on the heels. So if you are having issues with things like plantar fasciitis or strains around the calf or hamstring, then just go easy on this. Don't push it right to the max. And just see where that tension lies in your legs. Just hang out here for a few more moments. Okay, and then coming up, give the feet a bit of a twirl. We're going to grab our foam roller now. So, when it comes to working around the feet, we've got to do some work around our calf. We're just going to focus on the lower leg here from the knee downwards. So we're going to get that foam roller right on the Achilles tendon through here. I'm going to lay that on there. We're going to bring that right leg over the top of the leg, and we're just going to lift the hips up, and we're going to twirl that foot as we work through that Achilles heel. I'm just going to work through nice and slowly. Find the tension spots in your calf. So the reason the calf is so important when it comes to issues with the feet is the calf turns into the Achilles, and that tendon goes down through the heel bone, the calcaneus, and then into the sole of the feet. So it might be the fact that if you've got issues with the soles of the feet, it might be the fact that you've just got really tight calves and you need to free up some of that tension. So just slowly work down that calf. We're not racing through this. We're finding the tension spots. We're rolling that foot. Coming up a little bit more. Roll that foot. Coming down. And if you do come across a part that is what we call a hot spot, a tension spot, then just hang out there for a few moments and just roll that calf. Everyone's different. But it's definitely beneficial getting a bit of movement into the equation, rolling that foot. And again, just working through. We're going to come all the way up to the top of that calf, just stopping before you get to just behind the knee. You don't want to roll out behind the knee. quite a sensitive area there. So just working up. And when we come back down, we might just want to change the angle a little bit so we can come a little bit more onto the side of the calf. And you'll find that you can get into some of those peroneal muscles that run down the side of that leg, that lower leg. So again, just moving that foot. And finding the spots that are sore on your body. So take your time working through here. Don't rush it. Okay. So coming on to the other leg now. So laying that right lower leg, back of the calf onto the foam roller. And then we're going to raise the hips up off the mat and start working through the back of the right leg. And again, just slowly working up, finding the hot spot. And if you find something, a tension spot, just hang out there for a few moments. You don't have to be in sync with what I'm doing. A lot of these sessions are just giving you ideas and giving you tools to help you resolve your pain. So slowly working up. And again, this will highlight when we swap sides, highlight left to right imbalances. And again, these sessions are a component of whole body health. So when we're looking at the movement series, the core stability work and the mobility routines, if we combine all of those three, we're really hitting a lot of the main components to help you perform better and reduce your risk of injury. So it's really important to incorporate a bit of everything. Okay, moving right up to the top of the calf. And then just coming back down on more on the outside of that calf. Just working through those peroneal muscles that run down on that side of the lower leg. Keep that leg moving, that foot moving. If you find a spot that's sore, hang out there, take a few breaths, breathe into it. Okay, foam rolling is never that pleasant, but make sure we're not causing ourselves too much stress. Okay, good work. I'll just pop the foam roller off to the side now. For this next exercise, I want you to grab your foot and I want you to interlace your fingers in between your toes as if you're holding someone's hand, your partner's hand. I want you to interlace your fingers in between the toes. So once you've squeezed your fingers in between your toes and you've interlaced them, I want you to start moving that foot around. Okay, this can be quite tender, can be quite tight between the toes. And I just want you to start wiggling those toes around. So you might be able to slowly squeeze the fingers down a little bit further So just like you're holding your partner's hand, but you're just interlacing the fingers in between the toes. So this is a great one for opening up all the muscles that run in between the toes, all the little joints. So we're just moving it around, gently finding the areas, mobilizing these areas. And again, it might be a bit stingy, a bit sore, so just go nice and easy. It's one of my favourite ones for giving the feet a bit of attention. So just move them in a way that feels good for you. It might be that you're just holding it nice and tight, feels like a good stretch. Great one for opening up all those joints, getting the toes moving. So our feet are often just jammed into shoes all day, whereas actually we're probably designed not to wear shoes, and certainly things like high heels and just change the whole orientation of that foot. Puts a lot of stress through the toes. I'm always a bit of an advocate for being barefoot as much as possible during the day. Obviously there's some considerations with that when we're walking outside. Being careful of anything like broken glass on the pavement. So I'm not necessarily saying you should throw all your shoes away, but some part of your day when you're at home, take the shoes off, walk around the garden bare feet. Just get the feet a little bit more used to being open, being free. Okay, and then swap sides. So bringing the right foot up and interlacing the fingers in between the toes. And again, this will highlight left to right imbalances, tension spots. So bring those fingers down. My toes are pretty stuck together, so this is quite challenging for me. And then once you've interlaced the fingers with the toes, just moving the feet around. So just move them around in whatever way feels good for you. You might want to bring them down and hold them, get a stretch, then bring them up. It's just a great one to do in the evening when you're sitting watching TV or doing something. Just jump down on the ground, or even when you're sitting in the couch, just bring the feet up and just give the feet a bit of attention. Again, just working through and finding those spots that feel tight on your feet. Okay, and then releasing that foot. So your feet should feel pretty alive after that one. So for this next one, we're just going to run just a little bit more focused work around the calf. So you can grab a ball. So that can be a tennis ball or one of these, what they call moon balls, that you can get from your local sports shop. Something that's just got a little bit of squidge in it, but it's quite firm. So place that ball right at the base of that calf and just apply a little bit of pressure through that calf and just slowly roll that ball through. So the foam roller is really good. and we'll hit a lot of areas, but this will just sink a little bit more into the belly of those muscles, a little bit more directed. Can be quite sore, quite painful. So you can roll the foot as well. You might find it's a little bit harder to balance. So just slowly working up through the back of that calf. You can use a cricket ball. It's a little bit harder, or a hockey ball. Sometimes it's just a little bit too much, so if you can get somewhere in between, something that's firm but it's just got a little bit of squidge, then that's perfect. And just working up. So yeah, I can't emphasize enough when it comes to issues with the feet. You know, we've got to look at the lower leg, looking through the calf. We've also got to look at the hamstrings and the glutes as well. It's a big part of that. We've covered some of that in the other mobility routines. So this is just a little bit more specific on that lower leg. Just working through that calf nice and slowly. Just coming up nice and slowly to the top of that, just below the back of the knee. If you find a tension spot, just hold it there. Take a couple of breaths. An inhale and an exhale. And on that exhale, just let it sink in a little bit deeper. It might be that there's only just 1 or 2 spots on the calf that you need to focus on. So just focus on that. Okay, and then coming back down, bringing that leg over the top and just slowly working back down that calf. Again, you don't want to be gritting your teeth and digging as deep as you can on this. You want to find that perfect pressure. It feels like it's doing good, but you're not causing the body to, or the muscle to, freak out. Okay. And then swapping sides, so bringing that ball onto the back of that right leg, and let's slowly work through. So again, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. You can start right in the middle of the calf, work down and then work back up. Start at the top. Now what I would recommend is that out of all of these routines, you find the best bits out of each of them that suit you and put together a little mini routine and just spend 10 to 15 minutes in the evening, most days, focusing on that. So it might be that one evening you spend the time on the calves and the feet. Next evening, just getting the foam roller on your upper back and just work through them like that. Because some of these exercises won't necessarily apply to everybody. They might just simply have no issues with their feet, no tension through the calf. So just finding the perfect routine for you. Okay, so last little bit on that calf. Again, just finding the spots that feel sore. Okay, good work. Okay, and for our final last move, we're going to place that ball down on the mat and we're going to place the foot on top of that ball and we're just going to slowly work through the sole of the foot. So this is really good for the plantar fascia on the sole of the foot. And again, just find that spot that is sore. If it's sore at all, you know, it might just be absolutely no problem for you rolling through the foot here. So again, just starting at the front of the foot, and rolling through, nice and gently, smooth, applying the right amount of pressure where you're not causing the body to freak out. The old saying, no pain, no gain, is a little bit misleading. Often I find just dialing back that pressure a little bit, you get a lot better results. Okay, we can find the spot that's tight, we can roll that ball into the arch. We can hold it, roll it back. There's 101 different ways of rolling the soles of the feet. So again, just find that spot and just spend, you know, a minute or two on each foot. Okay, and then swapping sides. So again, great for highlighting differences between left and right. You might find one side's absolutely no issues at all, the other side is just super tight, super sore. So that can happen for a number of reasons. It can be the fact that it's just on your dominant leg. It's the leg that you put the most force through. It might even be healthy tension. Look, when we're running, we do build up muscle tension, and muscle tension isn't always a bad thing. You know, it's good for generating force. You check some of the top sprinters and a lot of runners, they've got a bit of muscle tension in the leg. It's not that that's necessarily bad, but we just want to make sure we've got healthy muscles, healthy joints. You know, if we're rolling the ball on the sole and it's really sore and it's painful and it's feels a bit gnarly, then that's probably an indication of focusing on that area. Whereas if it just feels like it's a bit tight, that's not necessarily something that's bad. So there's different levels or different sensations when it comes to pain. Fundamentally, at the end of these sessions, we should feel good. We should feel like the body's had a good run through. And then when you do go out and exercise, whether that's running, cycling, whatever you do, hiking, if it feels better, then it probably is. Okay. Okay, good work. So just putting the ball over to the side, we're just going to finish up as we always do on our back. Hands up to the ceiling, open up the feet. It's a great way to end every session that we do, whether it's a moment of just reflection, acknowledgement, just allowing the body to adapt. Getting our breath back into check. It's a moment just to quieten the mind and feel the sensations through the body. It's a great posture just to do during the day, at lunchtime, before you go to bed, just to clear the mind. Bring our focus back to the breathing. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. Hope you got something from it. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on the mat tomorrow. Have a good day. Have a good evening. Thank you very much.